what almost killed my neighbor while he was mowing his lawn. Let me tell you something that happened to a man I know personally that completely changed how seriously I take yellowjackets. He was cutting his grass on a Tuesday afternoon, completely ordinary day. He had mowed that same yard probably 200 times over the years. He knew his property. He was not doing anything careless or reckless. He ran his mower over a patch of ground near an old tree stump at the back of his yard, and within seconds, he was swarmed by hundreds of yellowjackets that had been nesting underground directly beneath that stump. He was stung over 30 times before he could even get off the mower. 30 stings in a matter of seconds. His blood pressure dropped so fast that by the time the ambulance arrived, the paramedics told him later they were genuinely shocked he was still conscious. The doctor in the emergency room told him flat out, another few minutes without treatment, and the outcome would have been very different. He is completely fine now, but I want you to sit with that story for a moment before we go any further, because a lot of people think of yellowjackets and wasps as an annoyance, a nuisance, something mildly irritating that you deal with in the summer. They are not. They are one of the most aggressive and medically dangerous insects in North America, and the reason they are so dangerous is that their nests are almost always hidden, somewhere you are not expecting them. Underground, inside wall voids, tucked into the eaves of your house, buried inside an old tree stump. And by the time you discover the nest, you have already triggered them. Stinging insects send over 500,000 people to emergency rooms in the United States every single year. Not bee stings, from peaceful honeybees bumbling around your garden. Aggressive, territorial, attack in swarms, yellowjackets, and wasps. Today, I'm going to show you a complete system that will eliminate every yellowjacket and wasp colony within a significant distance of your home, prevent new nests from forming in the same spots season after season, and do all of it without harming a single honeybee on your property. Yes, that last part is real, and I am going to explain exactly why it works that way. Stay with me, because this is the part that surprises almost everyone. Why spraying a can of wasp killer is almost never enough. I want to start here because this is where most homeowners go wrong and end up fighting the same nests every single summer. You go to the hardware store, you buy a can of wasp and hornet spray. You wait until dark, you walk outside, you blast the nest with that foam spray, you see a bunch of dead wasps on the ground the next morning, and you feel like the problem is solved. Then 2 weeks later, there is another nest forming in the same spot or somewhere new nearby, and the whole cycle starts over again. Here is why that keeps happening. That spray can kill the wasps that were physically present in and immediately around the nest at the time you sprayed. It did not kill every foraging wasp that was out searching for food when you treated. It did not kill the wasps that were deep enough inside the nest cavity that the spray never reached them. And critically, it did absolutely nothing to make that location less attractive for the next colony that comes along looking for a nesting site. Yellowjackets and wasps do not choose nesting locations randomly. They are attracted to specific environmental features: wall voids, ground cavities, protected overhangs, areas near food sources, and locations where previous nests have existed. The chemical traces and structural characteristics of an old nesting site actively attract new queens looking for a place to establish their colony the following spring. So if you treat the nest without also treating the location, you will have another nest in that same spot within 1 or 2 seasons, guaranteed. The system I am going to walk you through today addresses all of it: the active colonies, the foraging workers you cannot directly reach, and the prevention layer that stops new nests from forming in the spots where they keep coming back. Let's understand what you are actually dealing with. Before I show you the system, you need to understand the difference between the insects you are fighting, because yellowjackets, wasps, and hornets behave differently and require slightly different approaches. Yellowjackets are the most dangerous of the group. They are relatively small, yellow and black, with a smooth, shiny body. Unlike honeybees, they can sting repeatedly without dying. There is no barb on their stinger that causes them to lose it after one sting. A single yellowjacket can sting you dozens of times and continue attacking. And when a yellowjacket stings, it releases an alarm pheromone that signals every other yellowjacket in the colony to attack the same target. This is why an encounter with a yellowjacket nest can go from one sting to hundreds of stings in a matter of seconds. They are aggressive, they are coordinated, and they do not back down. Yellowjackets typically nest underground in old rodent burrows or inside wall voids or inside hollow tree stumps, like the one my neighbor encountered. Their nests are almost always completely hidden from view, which is what makes them so dangerous. You often do not know the nest exists until you have already disturbed it. Paper wasps are the large wasps you typically see building those open honeycomb-style paper nests under your eaves, on your porch ceiling, under deck rails, and inside your garage. They are territorial and will sting when threatened, but they are significantly less aggressive than yellowjackets. You can usually get within a few feet of a paper wasp nest without triggering an attack if you move slowly and deliberately. They are still a problem that needs to be managed, particularly when their nests are built near doors, walkways, or areas where children play. Bald-faced hornets are the large, black and white stinging insects that build those enormous gray paper ball nests you sometimes see hanging from tree branches or attached to the corners of structures. They are extremely aggressive, even more reactive than yellowjackets in some situations, and their colonies can grow to contain several hundred workers by late summer. The colony sizes matter for your treatment strategy. A yellowjacket nest that has been established since spring can contain several thousand workers by August or September. That is why a single can of spray is often completely inadequate for a mature colony, regardless of how accurately you aim it. The bait station. Method that changes everything. Here is the approach that most people have never heard of, and once I explain the science behind why it works and why it is safe for honeybees specifically, you're going to understand immediately why this is so much more effective than anything you have probably tried before. You are going to build an attractant bait station using two things that are extremely inexpensive and easy to find: apple juice and boric acid. Boric acid is a naturally occurring mineral compound that is lethal to all insects in any concentration. You can find it at hardware stores, most pharmacies, and home improvement stores. And it usually comes as a fine white powder. You want pure boric acid with no additional active ingredients mixed in. Here is how you make the bait station. Get a shallow container, an empty soda can works perfectly, or any small shallow cup. Pour a small amount of apple juice into it, not enough to fill it, just a thin layer across the bottom, maybe half an inch deep at most. Then add a half teaspoon of boric acid and stir or swirl it to dissolve it into the juice. Take a small stick and place it across the rim of the container, or leaning inside it so that it reaches down into the liquid. That stick is the access ramp. Now here's the critical point that determines whether this method works or fails. You do not want the liquid deep enough that the yellowjackets drown in it. If they drown in the bait station, they die right there and they never return to the colony. That gives you zero transfer effect, and your bait station only kills the individual insects that happen to fall in. That is a dead end. You want the liquid shallow enough that the workers can land on the stick, walk down to the surface of the liquid, drink from it, and then fly back to the colony alive. Because when they fly back to the colony, they carry that boric acid-laced juice with them and share it with the other workers and the queen through the normal food-sharing behavior that all social insects use. The boric acid then works its way through the entire colony from the inside out. This is the transfer effect. One worker drinks from your bait station and then potentially exposes dozens of other colony members to the boric acid without any of them realizing the food source is compromised. It is a slow, thorough, colony-wide elimination that reaches insects deep inside the nest that no spray could ever get to. Now place multiple stations around your property, particularly near areas where you have seen yellowjacket or wasp activity, near garbage cans, near outdoor eating areas, and near any confirmed nest locations. Space them every 20 to 30 feet in areas of high activity. Why honeybees won't touch your bait stations? This is the question I get asked constantly whenever I share this method, and it is a completely legitimate concern because the last thing any of us wants to do is contribute to harming honeybee populations. Here is the reason honeybees are not attracted to this bait. Honeybees are flower feeders. Their foraging behavior is oriented toward collecting nectar and pollen from flowering plants. They are not attracted to the fermented, protein-laced scents that attract yellowjackets and wasps. Apple juice, rotting fruit, meat scraps, sugary sodas. These are the attractants that trigger the foraging behavior of yellowjackets and wasps, particularly in late summer when their natural food sources start becoming scarcer and they shift towards scavenging. Honeybees, following their instincts, go toward flowers. Yellowjackets and wasps, following their instincts, go toward the kinds of fermented and protein-rich food sources you're replicating in your bait station. You can place these bait stations directly adjacent to honeybee boxes or hives, and the honeybees will forage past them without interest, while the yellowjackets and wasps are drawn straight to them. I have done this myself and watched it happen in real time. Honeybees flying right past the bait station on their way to forage, yellowjackets landing on it within minutes of it being set out. That is why this method is genuinely and specifically safe for honeybees in a way that broad-spectrum spray treatments simply are not. Knocking out the active nests you can see. The bait station handles the foraging population and creates a transfer effect into the colony over time. But if you have active nests that are immediately accessible and posing a direct threat right now, nests under your eaves, nests on your porch ceiling, nests forming in your garage rafters, you need to deal with those directly, and you need to do it safely. For paper wasp nests and any nest that is away from electrical components, a soapy water spray is a legitimate and effective knockdown method that uses nothing more than dish, soap, and water. Mix a generous amount of liquid dish soap into a garden pressure sprayer or a spray bottle that can project a stream. The soap works by penetrating the wasp's exoskeleton and blocking the tiny pores they breathe through. Wasps do not have lungs the way we do. They breathe through small openings along the sides of their bodies called spiracles. When those openings are coated with soapy water, the insect cannot get oxygen and dies within seconds to a couple of minutes of direct contact. Aim directly at the nest and the insects on it. Keep the spray going continuously and do not stop until the activity has fully stopped. Now, there is an important limitation with soapy water that you absolutely need to know before you grab that sprayer. Water and electricity are a lethal combination. If the nest you need to treat is located near a light fixture, an electrical box, an outlet, any kind of wiring, or any electrical component of any kind, do not use a water-based spray. This is non-negotiable. The risk of electrical shock or electrical damage from spraying water near energized components is real and serious. For nests near any electrical source, you need a non-conductive wasp spray. There are professional-grade products specifically rated and formulated to be non-conductive and safe for use near electrical components. These products are labeled with their voltage rating. Look for one rated to at least 35,000 volts of non-conductivity. They work through immediate contact knockdown, and they project a stream long enough to keep you at a safe distance from the nest while you treat it. These products are also the right choice when you need speed over everything else. The soapy water method works, but it is slower. A dedicated wasp knockdown product drops them in seconds, and is the safer choice when you are dealing with a large, active colony where any delay in knockdown increases your risk of getting stung. The prevention layer that stops them from coming back. Eliminating the active nests and running your bait stations handles your current problem. But if you stop there, you will be back in the same situation next spring when new queens emerge from overwintering and start scouting for nesting locations. The prevention layer is what separates a one-time fix from a permanent reduction in yellowjacket and wasp pressure around your property. The product you want for this is Delta Dust. It is a waterproof insecticidal dust that contains deltamethrin as its active ingredient. What makes it uniquely valuable for this application is a combination of two properties that most insecticides do not have together. First, it is completely waterproof. You can apply it to your eaves, your soffits, your door frames, your rafters, and the exterior of your structure, and rain will not wash it away. Most liquid sprays lose their effectiveness within days of rainfall. Delta Dust maintains full potency on treated surfaces for up to 8 months outdoors. One application in early spring before the first nests start forming gives you protection through the entire active season. Second, it has electrostatic properties. As insects fly through treated areas or land on treated surfaces, the dust particles are attracted to and cling to the insect's body through static charge. They do not need to eat it or make prolonged contact with it. Simply flying through or walking across a surface treated with delta dust is enough for a lethal dose to adhere to the insect. Apply it using a cobweb duster or a bellows-style bulb duster. Work it into every gap, crack, crevice, and void along your eaves, your soffit line, the areas around your exterior lights, the corners of your garage ceiling, and anywhere you have had nests form in previous years. Pay particular attention to any structural void or opening, gaps in wood trim, spaces where different building materials meet, the area where your siding meets the foundation. Wasps that attempt to build in treated areas will contact the dust, carry it back to whatever early-stage nest they are starting, and eliminate the colony before it ever gets large enough to become a threat. In many cases, you will prevent the nest from forming at all, rather than having to deal with a mature colony midsummer. This is the difference between reactive pest control and intelligent pest control, the complete system working together. Let me show you exactly how all of these pieces work together as a unified system, because this is where it all comes together and where people start getting results that last more than one season. You run your apple juice and boric acid bait stations throughout your property from late spring through early fall. They work continuously, attracting foraging yellowjackets and wasps, loading them with boric acid they carry back to their colonies, and steadily reducing the overall yellowjacket and wasp population pressure in your area. Multiple stations, spaced throughout your yard, refreshed every few days as the liquid evaporates or gets consumed. Simultaneously, you apply delta dust to every eave, soffit, rafter, exterior light housing, and a structural void on your property in early spring before the nesting season begins. That dust sits there for months, invisible to you, but lethal to any wasp or yellowjacket that attempts to establish a nest in a treated area. Any active nest you discover that poses an immediate threat gets treated directly. Soapy water spray for nests away from electrical components, non-conductive wasp, knockdown, spray for anything near wiring or fixtures. The bait handles the foraging population. The dust handles nest prevention. The direct treatment handles immediate active threats. Running all three together means you are attacking the problem from every angle simultaneously, instead of reacting to one nest at a time all summer long. Homeowners who follow this full system consistently report a dramatic reduction in yellowjacket and wasp pressure, not just in the season they started, but in every subsequent season as well. Because you are not just killing what is there right now, you are making your property a consistently hostile environment for yellowjackets and wasps to establish themselves in. Year over year, the pressure keeps dropping. What to do if you get stung right now? I want to take a moment to talk about something that most pest control videos skip entirely, because it is genuinely important information. If you are stung by a yellowjacket and you experience anything beyond normal localized pain and a swelling at the sting site, if you experience rapid swelling that spreads significantly beyond the sting area, hives or rash appearing on parts of your body that were not stung, difficulty breathing, tightness in your throat or chest, dizziness, nausea, or a feeling of general weakness or confusion, do not wait and see if it gets better. Call emergency services immediately. These are the symptoms of anaphylaxis, which is a severe systemic allergic reaction that can become life-threatening within minutes. Many people do not know they have a yellowjacket allergy until their first serious reaction. Anaphylaxis does not give you time to drive yourself to a hospital. If you have previously been diagnosed with a venom allergy and you carry an epinephrine auto-injector, use it immediately at the first sign of a systemic reaction and call for emergency help even after using it. For normal sting reactions in people without allergies, localized pain, redness, and swelling at the sting site, remove yourself from the area first, get away from the nest, and then address the sting. Wash the area with soap and water, apply ice to reduce swelling, and an antihistamine can help manage the localized reaction. The pain and swelling from a normal yellowjacket sting typically peaks within a few hours and resolves within 24 hours. But if something feels wrong beyond that local reaction, treat it as a medical emergency. My neighbor's life was saved because someone called for help immediately, instead of waiting to see how it developed. A word on timing and seasonal strategy. One thing I want to make sure you understand is that timing matters enormously with yellowjackets and wasps, and most people start treating too late in the season to get ahead of the problem. Yellowjacket colonies start from a single overwintered queen in early spring. She emerges, finds a suitable nesting location, and builds the first few cells of the nest entirely by herself. The first eggs she lays become the first worker generation, a small initial crew of workers that then take over nest construction and colony expansion, while the queen focuses entirely on laying more eggs. If you can disrupt that early colony establishment phase, the first 4 to 6 weeks of spring when colonies are small, vulnerable, and just getting started, you prevent the massive mid-summer and late summer populations that create the most danger. A colony of 20 workers is manageable. A colony of 3,000 workers in August is a serious threat that requires significantly more aggressive treatment. This is why the Delta Dust Prevention application belongs on your calendar every year in early spring, March or April, depending on your climate, before you see any nests forming, before any queens have committed to a nesting location on your property. That is the window where prevention gives you the most leverage over what your summer is going to look like. The bait stations should go out in late spring and run continuously through early fall when yellowjacket populations are at their peak and the most aggressive foraging behavior occurs. Plan ahead. Get your prevention layer down before the season starts. Keep your bait stations stocked throughout the active months, and treat any nest that breaks through your prevention layer immediately while it is still small. So, what's your action plan starts right now? Let me give you the clear order of operations so you can take everything you just learned and turn it into action today. First thing, pick up boric acid and apple juice if you do not already have them. Set your first bait stations this week, placed in areas where you have seen yellowjacket or wasp activity. Keep the liquid shallow, keep the stick in place, and check them every few days to refresh them. Second thing, get Delta Dust and a duster applicator if you do not already have them, and treat every eave, soffit, rafter, and structural void on your property. Do this now, even if it is mid-season. Late prevention is still better than no prevention, and any dust you apply now will carry through into next spring. Third thing, identify every active nest on your property right now. Treat accessible nests away from electrical components with soapy water spray. Treat anything near wiring or light fixtures with a non-conductive knockdown spray. Do this in the early morning or evening when activity is lowest and the majority of the colony is inside the nest. Fourth thing, make this a seasonal system, not a one-time event. Set a reminder for early spring next year to get your Delta Dust application down before the first nests start forming. Keep your bait stations running from late spring through early fall every year. That consistency is what gives you the compounding results over multiple seasons. You have the complete system now. Everything you need to take your property back from yellowjackets and wasps this season and keep them from coming back next season. God bless.